We're live.
Right, so
Okay.
there are 4 people online. It's probably one on there. It's just. Oh, wait. Right. Everybody else has. Okay, do you want to?
We're getting started. There's no practice session.
Okay, well, I'm not allowed in yet.
We're gonna look for the timestamps.
There after the meeting has been recorded, you can use the timestamps. So when it's posted.
So when they redid our Zoom, just so you know, I checked the AI meeting minute companion or something, so it should give us summary minutes.
Okay, so okay, after that.
I haven't used it. That was a new feature after they started last time.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay, it looks like the sound is on and you verify that it's recording.
Recording.
Okay. Great. Then after, and we have 1 guest on.
Team count.
Okay. The time is 4:02. I am gonna call this meeting to order, Parking Advisory Committee. We will start with roll call. I'll do just committee members first.
Seth Brandenberger, PID representative.
John Taylor, residential parking permit holder, representative.
Christopher Pacino, public member.
And I'm Julia Gustafson and property owner representative. Our 5th committee member is Sandy Schill, who is traveling today. So we have 4 committee members, so that means we will have quorum. Oh, of course, just but all staff, I'll have you introduce yourself, David.
David Knopke, the Transportation Systems Director.
And we have Chris. What's Chris's last name?
I saw that.
COUUI.
Also transportation. And then, because I like to, I have the public introduce themselves, and you're welcome to sit at the table if you want to. How do we get started?
Ardell Lauren, program manager at the PIT.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia Ryan. I'm the executive director of the BID.
Lonnie Kamna, I'm the general manager at Great Northern Town Center. Ken Drake. It's me.
I'm Bobby Lambertson. I own Bobby Salon down.
Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, next agenda item is announcements and some housekeeping. I'll start with housekeeping, we try really hard to follow the open meeting rules, since we are a public committee. And so we'll do public comment at the top. I'll do, since we've got folks here today, I'll do a 3-minute time limit for each round of public comment. We will also try, as we go through the agenda, staff will present, then we'll have committee questions, limit the crosstalk a little bit during committee questions, during staff presentations. And I'll try to keep us on time to end. We typically end around 6. And so that's my housekeeping part. Also in this section of the agenda, time for committee members to share any announcements that they have, observations from the last month about parking, or general musings on the state of parking in Helena. Committee members, do you have any announcements at this time?
I just have a report from one of our board members that her employee had purchased discounted permit up on cruise and gotten several tickets, which she had to come down and get excused. So not seamless yet, but
Well, those can be done online.
okay. But
She shouldn't have been ticketed. I think.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying, should have been ticketed. I'm not sure why or what happened, but
Are there any announcements? Musings? Okay, I have some as usual. So we had a city admin meeting last week and then several stories following that. So I was thinking about, why do we have paid parking downtown? And, and this is not new to a lot of you, but I'd like to set the stage of a little bit our role here. We have paid parking downtown so that we have a shared infrastructure for parking. If every business had to have its own parking lot, we would not have a dense retail core and we would not be able to maintain our historic buildings. So part of that, to have a vibrant downtown, is to have a parking system downtown that is shared among the users of downtown and concentrated. I was reading something about, if you had to follow modern standards with parking, you'd have to tear down every other building in downtown Helena, which we don't want. So that's one of the reasons we have paid parking. Another reason we have paid parking in downtown is to help the retail core, that we want to have turnover on street parking so that when folks drive downtown, they can easily find a spot, or they have the perception that they can find a spot in front of the business that they or near the business that they want to go. And so to keep that, we have to have turnover in those highly sought over spots. And that's often done with paid parking, or it could be time limited, which needs enforcement. And we have both systems in our downtown. And then the third thing that, reason why we have paid parking in downtown Helena is that is the only revenue source currently to maintain our parking infrastructure that we have. This is our surface lots and our garages. And so the parking budget is made up, the revenue streams for the parking budget is made up of those hourly folks paying by the hour, monthly permits, and by tickets. And so that's one of the revenue, that's the revenue for our parking system right now. Other cities, I imagine, do this different ways, where they put some of their general fund dollars or other transportation dollars towards parking, but in our structure, we have it this way. So that's my musings on paid parking downtown. And then I just want to remind folks that are new to this group the role of the committee. This will be our 1-year anniversary today, or September meeting. This is a advisory committee to the commission, and so we are all committee volunteers who applied or chosen and appointed to serve on this committee. As an advisory committee, our role is to listen and learn. So hear from the public, hear from staff, be a feedback point for staff, digest that information, and then make recommendations to the city. We are not city employees and we're not parking commissioners. That's a different term. We are volunteers on an advisory committee, and our role is to listen and learn and advise. And so we do that by meeting monthly. There's a lot of different parking topics that we could discuss. We've been focused on residential permits and then kind of downtown rates. But there's some other issues that we'd like to talk more about. All right, those are my opening announcements. So all that being said, we're going to move on to minutes. And we actually do not have minutes yet from the July 24th meeting. Sandy started a draft, but needed help from us because we did not have the recording. So we'll have our July minutes at the October meeting. Sorry, that was harder than it needed to be. And Christopher has volunteered to take minutes for this meeting. So Christopher, we appreciate that.
I make one comment.
1 minute.
Yes. Does the statute allow the AI minutes?
Do you know the answer?
Not sure, but you can use them as a guidepost. We don't have to submit those as the official minutes. But I think where they would be helpful is filling in some blanks if, you didn't.
The recordings fail.
That recording failed, or there was just a lot of talk that you didn't get all the notes written down. I think that's where that AI will come in, because it is doing the transcription of the meeting itself. So there should be 2 meetings in there to look at how to create the minutes.
Okay.
Do you want to volunteer to do that in the future?
Do what?
Collect and maintain the AI minutes.
I'm just interested to see how they come out.
Okay, so any other discussion on minutes? And are we good on our Are people in the meeting able to show hands or ask to speak?
You should be able to.
Okay, if they need to,
Sure.
all right, because I'm gonna move on to public comment. So I mentioned at the top, we are gonna do public comment today with a time limit of 3 minutes. And this is like any standard agenda, it should be public comment or on matters not specifically on the agenda, but often I open it up more than once, so we'll do our first round of public comment. Is there any public comment today?
Yes, for me,
Would you like to
because you know I would have to.
start with public comment? You have a
Okay,
minute.
like
Introduce yourself.
sorry, my name's Bobby Lambertson. I have a salon downtown, Bobby's Salon. I've been downtown 19 years. I've been in Helena since I was 3 years old, so I've been around a little bit. I have a lot of questions. You're a committee that is, who are you speaking to in the public or in the downtown district to get your information for your recommendations? Like, I'm pretty sure all the people I know are not happy with the raises in mostly the monthly parking or long-term parking, let me put it that way. And I also feel like 2-hour parking needs to be reinstalled on the main corridor of Last Chance Gulch. And the reason why I really believe this is Blue Cross Blue Shield is not downtown anymore. They were the primary problem. When I was working at Rosa's Cantina, I called it the Blue Cross Shuffle. Every 2 hours, everybody from Blue Cross took a break and moved their car. That's no longer an issue. Yes, there's some problem people who will park in front of their business all day, but so the owner of, it was the printing guy that's down there. When he first moved down there, he parked in front of his business all day, every day. Who cares? His vehicle had advertisement on it. Who cares if he parked in front of his business? I mean, really, why is that even a problem? When people come downtown and see that when people come downtown and see that they have to pay just to go in and get a donut or a cup of coffee or whatever, many of my clients have said they no longer do that. And if you read any of the public comment online, you will see no one is happy with short-term parking or long-term parking. And it's killing small businesses when you have 5 employees and you're shuffling out $300 a month so that your employees don't get ticketed, hopefully. Thank you. I have more to say, but I could go about 5 hours.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes.
Additional public comment. Cam, you have 3 minutes.
I'm here,
Oh, introduce yourself.
Tamrig, just public, and my wife has a business downtown off the Park Avenue parking garage. So parking is an issue. I like to be some sort of a median person between you guys and them and asking on comments, but again, I'm just gonna echo what she said. People aren't happy. You know that. I think you knew that before it went out. So my, I guess, ask or wish is to pause on this increase and actually do what she's saying, is starting to involve maybe somehow the businesses downtown in a group so they feel like they're part of this agreement or this solution. Right now, I think we've lost, the businesses downtown have totally lost trust with the city of Helena in the parking division. We need to build that trust back up. And I think there needs to be some sort of committee. I don't know who does that. If that's you guys, the business district. And form some, so there's some smaller committee that can meet with people like David and his people and come up with true solutions. These business owners might have research, might have ideas, might have solutions. They need to be heard. I'm going to give you an example. I was in Hawaii. I was in Kona, and they had issues with parking in their little downtown area where it's locals, they're local businesses, not franchises. And something they did is a validation program. They are allowed the businesses to pay for up to an hour, hour and a half, whatever they agree on, to pay for somebody's parking. They just come in, get on the app, they have their little iPads, they got access to the app, they can pay for it. And to me, it gives the option of the business. I don't know all these answers, but it's an option, and I think it's an option for the businesses. Now they can write that off. But they're also giving free parking for an hour or 2 hours. Yeah, they're paying for it, but I think in the long run, I think you can write it off. I don't know how it works. I haven't researched it all, but I thought it was a neat little solution, and somehow working together with the city. They're still getting paid for parking, but it's giving the business owners an option to figure out how to do this and still come out ahead. And I think there's ideas like that. That's just an example. I think there's things out there that can work. I just would like involvement with the business owners and the city a little bit more and come up with some ideas that they can put on the table and the commission can vote on.
That's fine. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Other public comment.
I got one. Lonnie Camden, General Manager, Great Northern Town Center. I know that my opinion is not going to be probably very well received by the public, but I support an increase in monthly permit costs, and my reasoning behind that is that our parking structures and maintenance and stuff that's being done around. I know the guys work really hard to keep everything up and everything, but we're really kind of starting to show the age. And I feel like if we could, pay a little more, if what I've heard is true, we're looking at moving from an $85 a month parking fee for, just say, Getchell Garage as an example, to about $100 a month, which is a $15 increase. That's 50 cents a day, and if that can help us to take care of the enforcement issues that we have, the software issues that we have with enforcement, and maintenance on the structures, I'd say that's a pretty good investment. I deal with David and Chris quite a bit on, just different issues and stuff that we have in the town center with our enforcement and everything. And I know that they work very hard and they're trying very hard to make this right for everybody. But in terms of going to all business owners downtown and asking them their opinion, one thing that I can say for sure as a commercial property manager is that if you give people too many choices, it takes forever to make a decision. I think it's important that we limit the number of choices that we have, maybe give people some options to choose from, but you have to focus that. You can't just leave it broadly open for public comment, because everybody's got their own idea of how things should be done. Now, if we could somehow pay for maintenance on the sidewalks and the parking spaces and everything else downtown and still offer free parking, hey, that's a great idea. I agree with these people back here that it does harm the downtown businesses to charge for parking on the street. But the thing is, folks, we're getting to a point where we don't have a whole heck of a lot of options now. Our sidewalks look bad, our parking structures are looking bad. And so I feel like it's time to do something about it. David, do you know when the last increase was? I mean, I know maybe 2-3 years ago, we went up to $85 a month, but when was the last increase?
We can't answer during public comment.
Oh,
So you have 10 seconds left.
no, I'm done.
Okay. As a reminder, public comment is a time for the public to give their comment, not a dialogue. Thank you for your comment. Any other public comment? All right. Oh, wait, online. Will you check if there's any online public comment?
See hands raised. Chair.
Oh, did you change your mind?
Yeah.
You want to do public comment?
Yes.
Fun, hang on. Okay, go.
Abigail Dolan, Program Manager in BID. It's also coming up on my 1 year anniversary. I just wanted to, there was one thing that was brought up, wanted by a business owner to me is, the directions on the kiosks, they're missing a step. So if you look at the visual, I know you put those lovely yellow stickers on there, which also, by the way, you asked our opinion about the yellow stickers, but I assume that they were already made because they went on the kiosk without the changes that we suggested, the chamber and the BID suggested. Just finding that out. But the directions on the kiosk that are the visual, like enter coin here, this is how to do that, they're missing a step. So that's why people are, an additional reason why people are confused. So I didn't know they were missing a step, but the people who are not technology inclined business owners have pointed that out to me. And then the other comment I'll make is the BID did a significant portion of weeding around parking structures and parking lots. And I'm not looking for a gold star, but the maintenance crew could help us, that'd be great. So no, it just looks terrible and we just want our downtown to look nice. My public comment.
Thank you for your comment. Okay. All right, moving on from public comment to our updates from city staff. It is 4:22. Let us start with grant funding. So, in previous meetings, we talked about 2 different grant opportunities that might be, relevant to parking. One is the TIF tax, what does that stand for?
Increment financing.
Tax increment financing, there are TIF districts. And then the other one was the MPO Special Community Block Grant.
Transportation alternatives.
Transportation alternatives. With that rough intro, David, please take it away.
So the TIF funding, there was more requests than funds. And the one request that basically got in before ours, which I don't think is a huge roadblock by any means, because there'll be additional funds that'll be coming into the tax coffers between now and next spring to address some of those issues that this committee had brought up, like the sidewalk improvements, landscaping, and stuff like that. So I don't think that it's out of the round and just didn't make it this last round. The TA funds, the city put in for safe routes to school, which touches the downtown because we're looking at not specifically parking, but looking at central school and safe routes so that kids don't have barriers as much as possible. Obviously, that's a big, we're asking for a very small piece of the pie of what actually the needs are out there, but we did put in. So those are the grant updates.
Okay, questions from committee members. I have one first. Is the TA, was that a one time or is that like, are there several openings for years in a row?
It usually comes either annually or every other year. And then that money just gets allocated through MDT.
Committee members, other questions about grants? Joe,
So the TIF grant, they take it on first come first serve basis, or what's the
Or priority.
criteria?
Or priority. So, we bring out a request in, and so The request that got in before us was more of a priority for the city. And that's what is funded,
And it like says,
the AC for the civic center.
The AC from the city center. For the
Civic center.
cities. Yeah, let's see.
I heard what was said.
Other questions about grant funding from committee members? Okay, yep, we're talking about grant funding, we just clarified and. Seth, did you have any comments?
Thank you.
Questions?
No questions.
Christopher?
No.
Okay. Then let's move on to the one I'm very excited about.
So this is the same map that we had before, because our staff member that was doing this.
So for the record and for the group, this is a map that we have been trying to get updated for the public to understand where and how to park downtown. It had last been updated with the addition of the passport kiosks, and then this addition is needed because of the removal of the lollipop meters downtown. So we had some zone changes with those removal. So Alpha Graphics is partnering with the city to make updates to this map. So. And it looks like it's up. Thank you.
So
Alright.
just for committee members to know, this doesn't have the comments that we had from last time. So we will have a public parking map, which will be focused more towards downtown visitors, tours, because they don't care about permit parking or where they can permit park. They want to know where they can park to go down to the businesses or do whatever they're doing downtown. And then the other map will be permit parking, will be more focused towards people that are businesses and workers downtown, so that they can see where their options for permits will be. So just as the pink on there is, free parking. Time limits may vary, so that's your 15-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour free parking. The blue is your pay to park, that's down in the core. The green are the pay to park public garages. And as some people will see, the Jackson garage is not on there because it's permit only at this time, so is 15th. And then yellow is surface lots. So it'll be a lot more uncluttered by the time you see the next rendition. And then the next rendition will also, because we have 5 colors on there, we found with the colorblind, I'm saying the name, Colorblind Institute.
Vision impaired?
I'm not sure what it was, the name of the institute. It was actually specifically for colorblind. They have palettes on there for colors that are as helpful, I guess, as it can be for those who have difficulty with colors. So we'll use their 5 color palettes on this. Hopefully, Alpha Printing will be able to get those exact colors. My only concern is that sometimes those colors, even though you have the right RGB, don't actually, when it gets printed, doesn't translate to the exact color. So we'll just have to see how they come out and try to do some test plots and see if we can get some folks that are visually impaired that way and see if they're readable or not. Otherwise, we'll maybe see if we can do not textures, but line types, squigglies or squares or something like that. So that's the update on the map. Any questions?
Committee members, questions about the map? I had one that I thought of the other day. Parking surface lot number 1. Is that, what is that? Because it's not on the map. I was trying to count how many surface lots we have. Is that the city county lot behind this building?
Surface 1 should be the one next to Jackson.
Oh, and it's just too
That
tight.
little tiny
The one
lot
that-
behind
yeah.
the front building.
Yeah, that you get from Jackson
Yes.
Street. Okay, so that would be.
I believe that's
Yeah, because then lot 4, you get 2 from Cruise.
correct.
Okay.
But I'll double check, make sure that there's.
I just don't know if we're missing a lot. I was also reflecting on the map and the changes, with the meters. But I don't. Other committee members.
I did have a question. This is Christopher. Where will this map be posted other than online? Will this be available, I guess, on printed? How will it be distributed?
It'll be printed, CID will have copies, Chamber will have copies, there'll be copies down at the front desk. So,
What, is there, I guess, is there a spot where, do we typically post this on a sign? Is that something that we've done in the past?
we'll still have the sign.
Yeah, I mean, for, you know, a map of where to park, I guess. How does the general public?
I don't know if we have a place that it would bear through weather. I don't know if we have like a bulletin case somewhere downtown. There's probably a couple of spots that could work or might work that are a little bit covered. I think we have a little bit of a, like a billboard style covering down by like Pine Base Camp there. Yeah, the intent is to make I have a better term if you Google Helena parking map.
This will ship on.
That we're hoping we're gonna try to word it or have it linked so that it will pop up as your top choice, person. That's kind of the intent. It's hard because there's so many mediums that people use. So we'll work with this committee once we get the final map and work with, like you said, the in chamber to try to distribute those as widely as.
Thank you.
So, so do we put these in the businesses or is that what the idea chamber do?
We typically haven't handed those out like in that respect. Just, I think we relied on the electronic version and paper copies of parking. But you know, if there's businesses that want a couple put up in their store or something, you know, that's fine. But our budget says right now that we couldn't be handing out tablets. So,
Well, I always think in hotels they're nice.
but we are
Right.
working with a hotel potentially. They approached us about potentially getting a kiosk and putting it there so that their customers can use the kiosk at their location versus going out on the street with the app.
Okay.
But that, yeah, that was the view. Don't have extra kiosks. So one update, the float one on the map. And it, Cam's comments reminds me. Do we want to, on the, I guess on either the tourist version or maybe both versions? Do we want to put a message on the map itself that says something like, ask the business about merchant validations? Because we do have merchant validations. We've talked with a bunch of businesses downtown and offered that option to them where they could pay for the parking. A couple of businesses have taken us up on it and they're trying it out. I don't know if we've really got much feedback on it yet. But it is something that exists that we thought of, software company has an option for. So I don't know if put it on one of the maps to draw it out and say, ask the business about merchant validation. Put it on the customer to ask the business to pay for their parking.
Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. I think we want to test it a little bit more. and make sure there's several businesses using it and it's working well before we start advertising it. Especially since it's taking so long to update this. But that would be my opinion. Other committee members?
Well, I mean, the business validation is available right now, right?
It is,
Any
yeah.
business that wants to use it.
Mhm.
It's whether or not we put it on the map, that's what I'm thinking about. It's available to all business right now. They can use
Well,
And you let people know this?
it. You know,
We are, sorry, not supposed to take questions from the public during the meeting, unfortunately. But since it's a simple question, the answer is the committee has not, and I will let the
So,
staff answer.
Sure, so I mean, as staff, we've mentioned it obviously here in these meetings multiple times.
Mhm.
We've brought it up in commission meetings on several occasions. And that's short of us, taking out a commercial on TV. I mean, we talk about it, if a business or someone comes up and asks what are some options, we mention it as an option.
And so we did share this with the chamber and the BID so that they could share with their membership. That's.
I had one final follow-up question is, how does the business validate? Is it on the app?
Yeah, so they go in, they create their validation account, they put in. $100, $1,000, whatever they want. And then they can either generate one code, multiple codes, it's kind of up to them, they can decide. And then they can just, they could, if you came in for an appointment and you have your license plate, they could enter your license plate and you can put the validation code in then. Or if you use the app, they could give you the validation code and you could put it in, and then it's just one extra step. After you put the code in, basically, how much time are you gonna stay type thing.
Okay.
And then if that's covered by a validation code, then it's covered. If not, then assuming you pay the difference.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, committee members, any other map questions? Oh, what's your timeline?
So we can have the map done fairly quickly if we just do the updates. We wait for this piece that has some of the parking or the fee stuff, then it's going to be on the timeline of adoption of any new or staying.
We need to update, this needs to get done.
So then we'll
And
just
if it
take
needs to
this
get
off.
updated in 6 months.
We'll give this. And we'll put in some other stuff, but we'll leave out the exact fees.
Well, they're out right now. You don't have fees on, like, this text is fine.
No, it's, yeah, but we were talking at some one point of putting in what the fees were.
Oh.
And stuff, so. But we'll change that and we can get those changes done.
Next one is an update from, well, continuation of our discussion on rates and parking budget. For background, there's a city admin meeting last Wednesday in which staff presented the rates that we as a committee had looked at in July 24th, I'm gonna say. And the general consensus I observed from the commissioners were that they weren't ready to make any changes. Or they weren't, I don't know, I left a little confused about where the commission stood. So David, please take it away.
So I think there was a question on, how much discussion there has been on parking rates. And we didn't go down to the walking mall and have to the farmer market and talk about them or anything like that. But this committee had three meetings in which it specifically talked about it, and then even before that there was discussion on rates and historical stuff. So I think part of what the approach was for next time is. The bylaws say that you will give your update to the commission, or annual recommendation, excuse me. To the commission in December. I had talked to the clerk since. Some of what also was unclear that from a staff's perspective was. That these were staff's recommendations. And I think it wasn't well presented that this is something that staff and the parking committee worked on. And all agreed on, hashed it out, and this is what the final product was. So potentially coming back in sometime in October and giving your annual recommendation. And having that time for you to actually present and say, you know, this is what we did, this is how, you know, we went about this. And then just give them that background, and then maybe get some additional feedback to say. The other part that I think we didn't have enough time to clearly vocalize was these annual rates that were in here aren't going in January, they're going in the next fiscal year, July 1. The monthly rates, yes, would go in, but anybody that had a current annual permit or had bought, you know, whatever, those would be honored up until they had to renew or whatever. So the only immediate implementation was the hourly parking and monthly permits, which we had talked going into effect around July to turn. So I don't think that we got talking about some other things that we didn't get we didn't make that clear enough that some would be next July, some would be different time.
Seth, go ahead.
Well, I think, just in reading the newspaper, and social media, that this kind of got out ahead of us. I don't think a lot of people realize, what the financial situation is with parking. And, I think there's also, like you just mentioned, people don't realize that if you don't get a raise in parking rates, it's going to be almost 2 years till you do, and can't fiscally, I just don't see how you're going to make it. So that's an issue, but I think this got out ahead of us, and I think there needs to be maybe a working meeting with the commissioners to kind of work through this. You know, I think that it got ahead of us with the public, and the public is now fully informed as far as to what the reasoning was, why we recommended this, and why we believe that a rate increase is needed.
Joe.
So I'm confused, actually. So where are we? Do they want more information? Are we going back? I mean, we have to go back in October and.
It basically
Give
got
them
tabled. Which means, we'll come back to them with more information, and then that's where when I talked to the clerk and some other folks, having the update potentially get moved up to October would be maybe a helpful tool for this committee to sit down with the commission and explain some of those things so that they had all that background information. And then if, through that discussion, this route was chosen and have that direction. But right now, I think that there was information that didn't get given to the commission that unfortunately we got sidetracked out of other discussions.
So you talked to what's
Denise.
title?
City
Clerk. Okay, what about the city manager? what is his role in how it goes on the agenda?
So he's the one that puts it on the agenda. He just got back this week from vacation, so we having that conversation.
So you haven't talked to him yet,
But no, but I think,
so you, oh, go ahead, John.
How did it get sidetracked? Is what I mean, I'm sorry, I was.
You can watch the recording online, it's thrilling, let me tell you.
All right.
I will let David answer.
I think that some of the some of the commissioners had received some comment prior to the meeting.
Oh.
And they wanted clarification on that comment. And that comment really did well with our presentation. And you know, there was quite a few public there that, you know, gave comments. So I don't think that they wanted to necessarily make a decision that you'd be not knowing all the facts. And so that's why they tabled it for a future date so that we could bring back a more detailed presentation on how we got where we got and why we started.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add that city government is pumping slow. And, you know, we're trying, we are a new committee who has been trying really hard to follow the order of business, you know, with these annual reports and getting on the agenda. And it's kind of new for everyone and it's not super smooth and not working well. I spoke to a commissioner who was like, oh, we'd love you to do a presentation on this, like all this. And I asked, do other committees do that? Have they done it well? And his response was, no, nobody does it well. So it's, in summary, it's messy and we're trying to work with staff to make it better. Cause it is clunky. I would.
And we are in it.
And we're advisory committee, so
No.
we can only do so much. We can only advise when there's time in the agenda. And, you know, the meetings go, there's a lot in the agenda and they try to move along quickly, so. I wonder if it's worth talking about during this agenda item, some of the things that the commissioners asked about so that we could. Prepare a response for future presentations. That's I think that is good use to time. Unless, how much do you have on residential parking districts today?
It's similar to what we have presented before, but we have some recommendations for some of the.
Okay, I want to
The
get some time
districts.
to that. But okay, let's talk about this big picture budget. Some of the comments from the commissioners were confusion about increasing costs and the costs of processing software, and they had reached out with some questions about the kiosks and the debt on the kiosks. And I had made comment about the deferred maintenance, because I think there's a general misunderstanding about what the costs are out there to maintain parking. Another question was about, you know, how is this committee interacting with the public and getting feedback from the public, and what does that look like was one of their questions. Then there was comment, you know, that the implementation from the one zone last fall and the change of the parking garage has not been well received, and that the intent, the commissioner said the intent is to promote a vibrant downtown. We're not there right now. Because of all the changes from last year. Oh, and they also brought up enforcement and public comment that they'd heard about enforcement. And I do think some of the commissioners understood, you know, the budget implications that we have to have enforcement if we want to have revenue. And that we have to have garage and surface maintenance. Am I missing anything that jumped out for chief from the commissioners?
No, but I think for some public background is to clearly identify what debt service we have for the garages that we have, and you know what that equates out to. You know, that includes the debt service for the Paver Park kiosks and software.
Okay. And that's
Yeah.
at 650. So number in.
I think that's the kiosks.
You know how much was left?
Yeah.
On it? I don't think it's quite that high.
For the kiosk loans. So
650,000 is probably
For
our
what?
total debt service agreement.
Oh,
So that's what
that
we
number.
pay on all the loans that we have outstanding.
Is- Okay.
Yeah.
For all loans annually.
yes,
And so, and then for the group to remind us, that is for the kiosk system, which is the passport, the physical kiosk and the software.
just the kiosk.
Just the physical kiosk, because we pay annually for the software. And then it was the cost of building the Jackson Street garage.
Jackson comes off, or it came off this August. But then we have debt service for 1550.
And 15th, okay, the 15th Street garage, and it was formerly also Jackson Street garage.
So the 650,000 was this year's budget, basically. Jackson drops off now that we've made the last payment on that, but that's about 90 to 100,000 of the 650. So we're at,
With 90,000?
Yeah.
Okay,
so we're at $550,000 still going forward for a reasonable number of years.
15th, I think it was out to 2039.
Yeah.
okay. For the, and that's 15th Street and the kiosks, okay. And can you, because this was before my time, when those garages were built and that debt was made, how did that come to be?
So 15th, state fund. I don't have all the.
A brief history, yeah.
But they, from what I understand, they were contemplating moving out of downtown.
Okay.
And the city and the business and the BID parking commission, whoever didn't want them to move downtown, so there was.
Or out.
There was a deal struck that, hey, if we build, you can build down here and you will build the garage. And that's how that kind of came.
So then the city took out a loan at that point to build the garage.
There's an agreement with the state fund to basically buy
Off of,
all the permits in that garage.
at a max cost of
Like
all of
everybody
the
else.
permits, yeah.
But do they, I thought you said,
So
They
they
can't
do, but the agreement said that they were supposed to pay was 120%.
So, yeah, so they buy 350 out of the 363-ish spaces. The way the agreement was written is that the price they would pay for those 350 permits was supposed to be equal to 120% of the operation and maintenance of the garage. But with the caveat that they could not pay any more of a monthly rate than any other garage or any less. They had. So that's one of the things that makes it so that we can't have like tiered pricing in different garages. Because they can't pay any more or any less than any other garage.
So all garages have kids.
So right now parking is, for lack of a better term, subsidizing that loan that was intended to be paid by state fund. That parking is paying the difference because they're not at that 190.
Yeah, okay,
Right, at the current rates, the 350 permits that they pay for does not even cover the debt service that we have for that one garage.
yeah, so the debt is paying for that. Okay, alright, so next steps, if we were on an October. Alright, let's make.
We can make it like a late October meeting so that you can have.
Well, I asked sorry to interrupt you. Amanda Opitz sent me the public comment thing, but I need a tutorial on how to use that.
There should be a PDF. of both comments. I can get you that PDF.
No, I meant like general comments that come to the city that are about parking. She said there was 10. She didn't send me the actual 10. She just sent me like, anyways, that was. My question I'm bringing up is, do we need to do a Be Heard Helena about parking again? And our proposed, let me see. and our proposed rates. Maybe this is a question for the committee. I mean, I understand that these are. There's no one place to go to get everyone to know what we're talking about. And we can broadcast a lot, but still people have to want to find the information. We've been working with our partners at the BID and the chamber because they are the information distributors, there we go, for downtown. There is no longer a downtown association with membership. That dissolved almost a year ago, a year and a couple months ago. And I think my opinion is that's being felt, I think, in some ways, through some of this communication challenges. Anyways, but one of the tools we have would be a Be Heard Helena survey. If we think that is necessary, useful, and if time allows for it. Joan.
I'm just thinking. Be Heard Helena. I'm not sure there's enough advertising about that. I hadn't heard about it till I got on the committee, maybe because I didn't have. Other than parking complaints about the city, I don't know, because you might go to the website and see where you could comment. So I don't know if we really, I mean, I'm thinking about the residential survey, the one we did first. Unless we can figure out how to really get the word out for people to make the comment, I'm not sure. And maybe we get good information.
Yeah. And
But
so I
if
should clarify,
it's
it's not that we don't
it
want
could be,
comment, it's-
right,
we
it
would
could be
be
one
good.
source, but I think maybe we had others that could also.
I mean, I think
Combine that.
the last time we did it Be Heard. Was between one or two of those public meetings. We got a pretty good response. I don't remember exactly how many it was. Uh,
Do you remember how long it was open for?
2 to 3 weeks. Abigail, do you remember? When we just had that?
Probably
It was right
very
up- Yeah,
The Be Heard Helena was for about 4 weeks.
it was open for quite a while. We got like there.
I know when we put in a BID letter, there was about 200 clicks to the thing, but I don't know. I don't have access to the data of
I
how
have
many people submitted.
I have a
Yeah.
PDF of all those. It was a fair, we got a fair bit of comments back. There was some singular themes and there was some other, ideas. So,
Timing wise, if we open it up. And had it open for a month. We would want time to digest it as a committee meeting before presenting it to the. Commission, which put us back to November.
I mean, if you wanted to look at it before your next meeting. It would have to only be as much as like 3 weeks.
That's what I'm saying, so it would be delayed to be able to be useful. Will you remind us on? The budget has been set for the year without changes.
Correct.
Okay, so the time sensitive nature is to get any rate changes so that they can start with the next fiscal year. But the commission will take rate changes kind of throughout, won't they, or budget adjustments throughout the fiscal year?
Yes, we typically try to do like the beginning of the calendar year. Just so that kind of have a good time frame.
Okay.
To see how. How they were received, I guess. Because if you get down to only having like 3 or 4 months of data, it's kind of difficult because you're capturing, some tourist data, some.
Oh, sorry, no, I meant, when does the city commission take rate changes?
So we can bring rate changes at any point.
That's what I thought.
We just like to have them become effective either at the fiscal year
Or
or
the calendar.
calendar
Yeah.
year.
And so we talked about before that definitely the permits we're trying to get all in the fiscal year, and we would like them to be active by the fiscal year.
Yes.
The annual permits and, okay, so if we were to do a public comment period, we can have it be open and we could not look at it in October, look at it in November and then possibly present in December to the commission, which would maybe allow for January rate changes for hourly, and then annual permits could change in July. This is me spitballing board committee feedback. One timing. I mean, the reality is people aren't gonna come to every meeting here, give us.
No, I think it's a process. You know, I would like to go back to everything you mentioned at the start. I think. You know. Nobody likes to pay higher fees for anything. I certainly don't. But. If I look around town and there's. Chuck holes in the middle of a city parking lot. And weeds growing, which really detracts from. You know, what we've got going downtown with the beautiful architecture, businesses, vibrant businesses, that sort of thing. And there's also the fact that if you don't get ahead of your maintenance, it starts to increase at a higher rate. If you don't take care of a parking garage, it starts to deteriorate. You know, it starts to deteriorate at a faster rate.
Yeah.
So you have to get, you know, water sealants out there. You've got to take care of these things. And I really am kind of convinced that that's what we're up against is deteriorating infrastructure. I mean, and walking around town, you don't have to go far to see it. But I don't think the person that is parking their car, you know, maybe they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about, you know, the fact that they have to pay a higher rate to come downtown. And that's hard on people too.
Yeah, I mean, it's our job and the commission's job to balance what the public says they want, like what is realistic to provide. Yeah. Okay,
Could I ask
Joan,
a
yes.
question? And this might be naive, but I'm wondering, like, if we could look at the complaints and where they're coming from, like if they're complaining about the parking downtown, the $1 an hour, if that's a complaint, or if the complaints are coming from net holders. And is there a way to figure that out? I mean,
Yeah, through the comments you can categorize.
right,
what kind of complaints do you hear
So,
unscientifically?
I mean, generally, it's a pretty good mix of both that we tend to hear. I mean, it typically comes from the business owners doing, either voicing the complaint or, you know, they're typically the representative that makes it. We don't hear from a lot of the actual people that go and park or that pay for their permit. Typically either business or the employer or whoever it is that does that brings us the concerns. But it is relatively mixed. It's either my customers don't want to come here because they have to pay, or I can't afford employees because they can't afford permits. It's most of the complaints that we get.
Yeah, Marjorie. Christopher, do you have comments on rates and budget and timing?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to, a clarifying question. It's been a while. The folks that, so we are under one zone, right? When we go on the app. So meaning that if I were to go park in the, you know, Stitz Avenue garage, it's the same rate as I would maybe parking in the street. Okay.
And that changed last fall.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. You two at home?
Oh, I think we have made progress on addressing some of the complaints and some of the the issues that we know about. We have, you know, we've developed lower price parking further out. And we've done the employee parking that can be shared for a permit. And I don't think the business owners, and even the commissioners are aware of progress that has been made in this committee. And on the parking side, I think this is a public process, and we're just, as these things have, you know, as this was kind of developed, it's happened real recently, and I don't think everybody knows what's been accomplished and how to use these features yet.
So, again, on that, do we do press, I don't know, like before at a BID meeting of your members?
Yeah, you can ask
Oh, I can't ask them.
No, you can ask them a question and they can answer without it being public.
Okay.
They're experts in
Well, I
that.
guess I can ask anybody. I don't know.
Will you
where
direct it to one of them? It's,
Okay,
okay. Or ask your question and I'll tell who to answer.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
all right. Now I've forgotten my question. No, I haven't. I guess, have we done any presentations? Has the staff gone out and done presentations to the members of the chamber or the BID, or so that they understand a little better what we're trying to accomplish? I mean, or do you take the information back from our meetings and give it to your members, or?
This is Alicia from the BID. We haven't done any presentations since, you know, all of this came up last week at the city commission meeting, so. No. That's not to say we couldn't, but we haven't.
Well, I was just thinking. Yeah, way to reach the businesses, some.
So not every month, but maybe every other month, I go to the BID board meetings and get public comment about what's been going on in the parking world, but you know, that's talking to their by board. We then would hopefully talk to others. And I know, maybe David, you've given information to Callie with the chamber. And how does she redistribute that, do you know?
I don't.
Okay.
I guess my assumption, maybe it was wrong, that we distribute like commercial validation stuff to BID or, you know, then they would distribute it to their membership because I don't have access to their distribution list. We put it up on our social media, we put it in on the website. But we don't have that face-to-face interaction with all the members. It's different, that's a challenge.
Okay. Okay, I wanna move us along. And I didn't, of the committee members. Do we wanna ask for a Be Heard Helena poll? Yeah or nay? Set. Cause we have to, it takes some time to get it up, we have to look at the PA of the whole one.
I think it's a good idea. I just wanted to add one other comment, and that is that the BID will be making. Putting out the statement.
Okay, but back to the Be Heard Helena.
Yes.
Yes, you would like to see that, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. Christopher?
Yes.
Yes, okay, let me, so that we do get some time for residential, I'm gonna kind of move that to the end, that we can brainstorm some questions for that. If that works.
So the questions that we sent out last time, to Abigail, Alicia, to see what your thoughts, I think a lot of those are probably still applicable. Today, as they were the last time we sent out that survey.
That predated.
Yeah, I don't
know.
It was them, yeah, it was
For us.
okay, so let's.
I can get those, try to get those to folks, but
Okay,
there
if we
was.
have some time at the end, I can pull them up, I probably have it, I want to then move on to usage numbers. From our data man. Chris Cooley.
Sure.
First one I would love to know,
Mhm.
before you give your demo presentation, how many people have bought the 4-hour part-time permits that are available on Cruise and Park Avenue?
16.
And your name is not Chris Coop.
Yeah, well, I told her. You called me and asked me, so I'm ready for you now.
I also reminded him. Okay, 16 part-time permits. What about full-time street permits?
There is 100 and whatever 83 minus 16 is.
767.
Of,
On street permits.
okay, so that is, oh, so I guess one of my questions would be, if monthly permit streets is 490. Do those overlap with the 123 discounted, or they're only? Like, you can't add those two numbers together, but total 490 on-street permits.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so then total on-street permits, discounted or not, are 183. So we're less than halfway full on-street parking permits. Okay. Thank you. What other numbers do you have for us?
Which ones are on the higher end and which ones are very scarce?
Yes, please.
So the ones that have the most utilization would be Cruise South. So it's furthest south at end of Cruise Avenue.
Under the fire tower.
Yes.
Yep.
And then Parks, so that one has 58. Correct. So Park Central.
Across from the Fifth Avenue parking garage.
That's 39. And Cruise North, which would be
By the Walter.
No, not that north.
No, not below Central.
just south, yeah, below Center.
Okay.
Has 21.
Okay.
And Cruise Central, which would be the next block south,
No, Holter.
so, no, south.
Other direction. By the chamber.
Oh, yep.
Has 18, and then Park South, which is down by the library, is 13. And from there, they're all kind of single digits.
Okay. Are there any on Park North? Like in front of the old Blue Cross Blue Shield building? And like the,
Those were all the discount ones that we put up. And
I don't know if they started to use those guys, okay. Okay, so there's plenty of on-street parking available. Sorry. Okay, what else do you have for us on usage? How are we looking for?
So I'll kind of run through the results that we gave at the commission meeting last week. There was everything in there.
Okay.
As soon as my thing opens here. I had to close it to go back and read those results. This is
That's killing me.
So one off the top of my head, while Chris's stuff is loading, 6th Avenue Garage.
Yes,
The one we hear about all the time.
yes, as being full.
Well,
monthly
that
permit.
that has their room to. So right now, there's only 24 permits available in that garage and it's at capacity.
Repeat that, so there's only, you only
400.
found 24?
No, there's 413 permits in that garage.
Okay.
And 389 have been.
Oh, okay,
So just because the top deck is open,
yes,
doesn't mean that there aren't people that have bought those permits. They're just not utilizing those permits.
okay. But there are 24 spaces available.
And
That
we
is the
have-
public comment we've heard in previous meetings that there are not spaces available.
And we have just received a request from an agency to have 20 of those 24 spaces.
Okay, so tell your friends there's only 4 spaces left.
So, what was the total? I missed.
413, I think.
413.
400.
Yeah.
total.
What's in the garage fit? You don't have, yeah,
What's that?
how many spaces are in the garage itself?
413.
No, how many? Cause you don't sell all spaces.
No, that we have total 413 spaces. We're oversold right now per our criteria. Because we have sold 389 permits, because a lot of those were carryover annual permits. So technically, bare bones, there is only 24 permits left in that garage.
Technically, which doesn't allow, sorry, I thought the 413 was the number that you held. Cause you held some for hourly, so we're not holding any for hourly. So someone could have a permit, and if we had a big event with a lot of hourly, they wouldn't be able to park. Go ahead.
What was the percentage again that you try to sell?
We try to oversell, depending on the size of the structure, anywhere from 10 to 20%. So we try to reserve for public parking, like Jackson, that's by far the most popular garage in Helena. There's a waiting list for that one, so that's why we changed that one to permit only, because there's more than enough people on that waiting list that are just wanting to get.
Aside from Jackson, we were generally reserving 60 to 70% of the total spaces. Permits, the rest for the hourly general public parking. And then, but in Sixth Avenue, way beyond that. And it would have been something like 320 spaces or something to that effect would have been what was available on Sixth Avenue for permits. Well, beyond that, about 10 to 20%.
Can you see with the license plate reader how could you see? How many people buy hourly and then pay in Sixth Avenue? Because now with the one zone, we can't.
So nobody can park in Jackson House.
Oh, excuse me, I said the wrong garage. Sixth Avenue is what I meant to say.
I think we found a little bit of a workaround for that. It's not great. It gives us an idea.
Like an estimate, it's like 20 a day, 30 a day.
I didn't run that number.
No. I mean, the way it exists, no.
Yeah.
So I think what we talked about last time is that we would have to see if there's a way, GPS wise, as it reads the plates.
Yeah.
What it's showing as the permission. Right. But because it's all one zone, so when it goes into the garage, it reads the license plate and it sends back whether it has any parking rights at all. And as long as it has parking rights either for the 5960, which is the pay to park zone, or I don't know the number off the top of my head, but whatever the permit number is for that garage. As long as it has rights for one of those numbers, then it just lets it go. It doesn't basically prompt you to check any further.
What we
Sorry,
have,
Dana, sorry.
what we have observed though is lunchtime, the parking garage empties a bit because people are going to lunch, which opens up more spaces for people coming to lunch. And then typically, there's still enough spaces for people coming back from lunch and people leaving too. So we haven't had that, bad interaction where people are coming to have permits and there's no parking spots.
Okay, so we've never met that.
Yeah, we have more immediate concerns that we've had to address from a software perspective. We just haven't been able to ask them. I don't want to put something else on the software company's plate that's a nice to have versus a need to have, like what Seth brought up earlier, that's they got a ticket, they shouldn't be getting tickets. We've talked to them multiple times about this. They know what the problem is and they have a case-by-case solution. They don't have a mass solution yet. So it's the unfortunate side is we can fix it and we can void those tickets if they have an active permit. But we don't know which accounts to fix until they get a ticket.
But then once they get a ticket, you can fix it. Okay.
Yeah,
Like they
once
won't
they get a
keep getting
ticket, we can fix the problem, they won't continue to get the tickets for that.
We were talking
Usage
about
numbers, I,
numbers, which was.
I still
related
didn't
to
get it
garage
open,
use.
but I remember, so,
Okay, great.
The.
Standing item.
Yeah, most of the information we presented is some of the typical stuff we've given here. Average session length, average session spend. Both are still pretty similar as they've always been. Average session length was 2 hours and 12 minutes. Average cost of the session is $2.14. So it goes in line with our 2 hours and 12 minutes. When it comes to digital payments only, so that would be either you pay on the app or you use a credit card at the kiosk. It is overwhelmingly favored toward app. So basically, I mean, it was like 99.9% of digital transactions to pay for parking are happening on the app, as opposed to somebody physically using a credit card at a kiosk. And then we ran some numbers on.
You just want our
Yeah, the
Our
PowerPoint is what I was trying to pull up, but and then we ran some numbers on tickets for the commission, and so we know that we had a software issue come up towards the end of June. Toward the end of June, we had a software issue come up, so I kind of limited my time frame from about February to June. So February, we're kind of fully up and running with the software, and then most of the way through June before we hit that snag. So from February to June, we wrote 5,000 tickets, and of those 5,000 that were written just in that time frame, 3,000 have already been paid.
Yeah.
People are paying online.
And then, so 59% of the tickets that were, so that was a little bit of a different metric. So that is all of the ticket payments, regardless of when they were issued, for that same time frame. So 5,500 tickets paid in that February to June timeframe. And so 59% of those were paid online. So we're getting 60% of people are now paying their tickets online, rather than having to come into the office. And then, so the other side of that is how many tickets did we write in that time frame? So that was the 5,000 tickets written in that time frame. 3,000 have already been paid, so about 60%. Typically, historically, we've seen that we only collect 50% of tickets ever issued, no matter when they get paid. So it's nice to see that we're getting 60% within a couple months of them being written. And then of those 3,000 tickets that were paid, almost 900 of those were paid within 2 days. Right, and so that came into play on one of the fee topics that we were going to give a discount if you pay within the 2-day time frame of getting the ticket. So almost a third of the tickets that are getting paid are being paid within 2 days. So,
which would probably increase if that was a discount.
right.
If
An
there was an
approved
incentive to
discount,
do so, yeah. Committee members, questions about Chris's numbers and his PowerPoint?
So an extra 9% per month, month is coming in on the tickets. Just trying to.
So I mean, as far as collecting goes, yeah, higher than we historically have.
Yeah.
So online, more tickets are getting.
So what's that gonna equal in the year? So what's our increase?
Oh, well, I mean, if we're getting, let's say 10% more collected or paid than we historically have seen, probably $10,000, right? Because our typical annual revenue, from tickets is $85,000. And so another $8,000 to $10,000, we get an extra 10% paid.
This slide, will you remind me what is operations that's not personnel?
That's all the day-to-day expenses, so those are, maintenance supplies, office supplies, paying for phone and internet.
The car reader, is that in
Yeah,
operations?
yeah, that'd
Okay.
be an operation, so the software costs, that kind
Okay.
of stuff, yeah.
So then personnel is obviously staff time and all the, whatever you call that, benefits.
Yeah,
Or whatever. Yeah, okay, and so then operations is, I mean, debt is the big part, and then capital just gets the short end of the stick.
yeah, so and that capital was more than just 1 year worth of capital, so that was projects that we've had rolled over for at least a 2 to 3 year time frame that were ongoing.
Mhm.
And so we closed out most of those in the last fiscal year. So this current fiscal year that we just started, the only projects that we have are really the ones that were budgeted for this year, which was $1,000. So that 200,000.
So that was several years,
Yeah.
okay, so that's why it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
really not
Several-
spending a
yeah.
lot on capital improvements.
Yeah.
And so those deferred maintenance costs will keep going up.
But we did, so like we had talked earlier in previous meetings. We've had staff research what we can do, so like the joints between the slabs of the parking garages, especially on the top decks. What can we do to do it ourselves versus having a contractor come in and do it? So they could find some ways to do it. They did find some interesting things when they cleaned out those caps. Apparently whatever was available was shoved in there to be kind of like a stopgap. So they cleaned that all out and they basically put like a very stiff weather stripping in there. Because those slabs move back and forth, so
Yeah.
it has to be flexible. And then they use those as the stopper and then they poured in this flexible joint sealer that is specifically designed for concrete joints like this. So they're slowly working across Jackson deck now. And we're, hoping to seal that deck up so that we can start work on those stairs that got damaged because of the water coming through the freestyle.
Is that how it happened? Okay.
Yeah, the water would run down and then would fall and it would ice up. And so then pop it up.
To that
Okay.
point, I know we had the concerns and Seth brings up the aesthetics and the weeds and how everything looks. But so for the last 2 or 3 weeks, our maintenance guys have been focused on trying to get the joint, trying to do the maintenance stuff. For us, it's our responsibility having to prioritize safety and maintenance over aesthetics. Is why they're not always out there full of weeds and help. So
What garage were you?
Jackson.
Jackson. So the stairs by the main theater.
And from what we,
That's Getchell.
that's Gibson.
No, the main theater, the Shriner.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh.
yeah, those are, yeah.
So we think from what it appears that this process worked. What we're going to do is just get, one of our water trucks up there. Hose down the deck
Test it.
and see how well it did. And if it did what we hoped it would do, then we'll go to the other garages that areas that we know that we have some water infiltration and pull that stuff out and fix it. At least to get it through this next winter and then finish off the decks spring.
$40,000 at a time.
It's not costing us $40,000 a time. It's,
I think it cost us about $1,000 to do what they did.
Oh,
So
okay.
far in one place, so.
Straight to the. Affordable, I gotta stop track, okay. Any questions about numbers? I think I'm gonna move us on, because I do wanna save some time to talk about residential parking. Moving on, 5:30 exactly, residential parking permits. Woo.
okay. So everybody remembers my nice colorful spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
Looks like Christmas, because Christmas is coming.
And you need to share it online, please.
Um. So we have two districts right now. So you see all these red here that were adopted between 88 and 92. Yeah. Those residential districts were somehow created without resolution. Not sure how. Not sure why, but they were. These two, Holter and actually Benton or Dearborn, we sell permits on those districts to this day. So down here, is that one coming through? So, is it coming through now?
Mhm.
So here's these two, Holter and Dearborn. They're actually meeting the resolution numbers.
Yeah.
They've surpassed that. They're at 133 and 128%. But they're not in that resolution. As you recall, the commission had them go through and basically purge all those districts that weren't either making or didn't want to be a part. So these ones actually got deleted.
So these are not valid districts, but they're valid because people are buying permits.
And they were created at some point. So our recommendation for these two is that we just recreate them again. For lack of a. And then, so we can get to the ones that probably have more impact here. So Jones district, Stewart. The Joan, your district was actually created as an A district, which means it's 2-hour parking without permit.
That's actually what I thought when I read this.
But it's signed as permit parking. And your Stewart is included in Hauser. And that's from basically Benton to Getchell. So there's only 2 houses addressed off of Hauser. There's like 10 of them that abut Hauser, but they're included up here in this Park Avenue district that does Park Getchell, Park Kessler and Getchell.
Mhm.
So I think we're double counting in one district and not getting enough in another district. So my proposal is to roll that whole area into the Park Avenue, which is a type B, which is permit only, which is the majority of that district anyways. And have one district that covers Stewart, Hauser, Park, Getchell, and Kessler.
And it would all be permit parking, not permit, residential parking.
Yes, residential parking permit.
Cause now there's 2-hour on Hauser. Residential on Park.
Residential on Kessler and Getchell.
Getchell has a combination of 2-hour permit and residential.
On either side of the road,
Right,
Yeah.
but
But it was,
the district's only on the
on the one side.
west side.
it was technically supposed to be a B district. So
So
whatever
we still
happened,
have residential parking.
whatever happened in the past, yes. Things were done at, I'm assuming at the behest of the residents. So just to simplify this, I'm just saying that whole area obviously want residential parking. So let's just combine it all into and call it one area, and then everybody is all, have one line item for that district.
So what about the people who have the 2-hour parking? you would take all that, the signage down. And put residential parking and they'd have to have permits for it. Now
So they can only
that-
park there for 2 hours without a permit. That's
Right.
what a new district.
Yeah, I was thinking that really doesn't work. It's a 2 hour park, because you have.
And really, I've
People
looked at,
come and
I've
stay
looked
all
at a
day.
bunch of photos and I've looked, there's really typically not a lot of people parking on Hauser except for the, right there, right as you turn off that apartment.
An apartment building.
And I'm assuming that they probably want more than 2 hour parking because that's an apartment.
Yeah, I don't know, do they have parking?
It
I
has
love
Benton. It has a small parking lot behind it, but I don't know if it has, and it has some garages, but I don't know if it
Yeah.
has lots. Okay.
So we don't have to make a decision tonight. This is just recommendations.
Yeah, so
right
talk
now.
us through the process. Is this a resolution then?
Yes,
To
yeah.
make all these districts? Okay. And you know, I'm still unclear on it. Thank you for coming. If residential parking makes sense,
So that's.
you know, and we talked about it.
What about, I mean, I was thinking about it, and except, I know the civic center is over there. And you know, they park in front of our house, which, and into the neighborhood. Although I'm not so sure why they park into the neighborhood. I mean, do you even need residential parking? I mean, I know the people with the civic center on Park have always, because I had a friend who lived there, they were really kind of like us going. But I'm just wondering about the whole town residential parking.
I really can't answer that because I'm not living in those specific areas. I do think it's valuable, so for instance, the school bond passed. So Helena High is going to be building their new school on their parking lot.
Well, no, that is a proposal. We do not have an actual plan until after the bond.
Well, won't they tear
Yeah.
down the old one?
The school is being built on their parking lot. Because that's the
School will
only,
be built on school district property.
because that's the only place that they can build it.
They also have practice fields.
Right. So either you're gonna be parking your vehicles on the practice field. Or you're parking your vehicles in your parking lot. Because the neighborhoods around it can't support all the students parking.
Yeah.
And so I brought
And so
that, my
that's where-
concern up to the school district and they're gonna, work through that, but. So that's a new impact, the reason that they redid the criteria for residential. That's a new impact that, might be temporary for 2 years, whatever, but
There could be a new parking, citizens could ask for a residential parking district because of the impact of the construction.
so I think that a residential district is valuable under the new criteria. But it's economically not feasible for us to maintain it at $30 a year per.
Because this is my beef always is that I'm okay with residential parking, but it's not enforced after 5 o'clock unless a policeman actually drives by and sees you're parking, you're not supposed to. And now with this new system, he doesn't know really.
Oh, no, you can still drive it.
Oh, no, I know, but you don't have the stickers in it. I mean.
We're working to try to
Well-
get them to the internet. With the difficulties we've had with just our tablets. I'm not hopeful that that's gonna be anytime soon.
But that's my concern. I know you'll have to raise the prices. Which if you're gonna enforce it, that might be, or not you, but if it's enforced, that might be okay.
So that's where we went
Right.
with that survey, do you want after hours enforcement, because that's a different model than. During the day when we can have the LPR driving around and hitting
Yeah.
these districts versus. Staying there from 5 until 10 o'clock when the Civic Center has a concert. Which typically for that you drive through once because people have already parked, they're not like they're coming and going like a crowd show.
But they're
On a
gonna get a
Saturday.
ticket, but they'll still be at the event. It's not like cars get
You-
towed,
Right.
you know? And
So it's how I guess this group might wanna talk about sideboards for I think what the new ones that they did in that. These are the some whatever resolution. I think that those was a great start, you have to have 5 people. You have to. The big ones that I see that are problematic are the areas where there's residential parking, like the Remington Apartments factor. There's, I don't know, 40, 50 apartments in there
And nowhere to park.
and nowhere to park. They have their little parking lot, but the street can't even handle it. And so then it pushes out into the neighborhood. So those are some of those conundrums that we haven't solved on what do we do? Does it residential only? If it's only R2, single family residence, what is that? I agree that the status quo, while needed, probably isn't working the way the customers would like to see it, and fiscally how we can support it.
Yeah.
Outside the normal business.
And there are districts farther away from downtown. I mean, that one is in, your district's in loop, of your
So our farthest
PCOs.
Billings Avenue over by Helena High.
Okay, but Capitol High is gonna be remodeled as well, and so Sun Haven or, that area could ask for a residential parking permit.
So they used
The
to have
fairgrounds area could ask for a residential parking permit.
all those houses in Sun Haven off the Brady and Valley there.
Mhm.
They used to all have residential parking districts because of the students parking.
When did they go away?
2014,
When that resolution.
but I think there was the school worked on the parking as well to allow the students to park more on campus. I think there's some parking permits still. I don't know exactly how they manage that parking over there, so.
Yeah, I mean, at $30 a day, it doesn't make sense for much.
Year.
$30
A year.
a year, yeah, I mean, it would need to be $30 a day to have regular enforcement.
We haven't run those numbers
Yeah.
because right now, I think I ran this was 148 permits. Did you run those? Residential. I think there's 148 permits out there right now.
How could you run those numbers? Like, what does,
It's just a
no, not the permit, like, how much does it cost a year to enforce residential areas?
So one of our attempts was if we were within so much distance of the core, it would be kind of rate A. And as you moved your way out, there'd be a tiered approach just because you have to drive farther and there's more drive time and stuff. That was the only way that we thought we could make it fair. And still recoup some of the costs.
And then, yeah, so I mean, and that's within regular business hours, right? Once we start talking about going outside of business hours, either we have to adjust schedules. So that naturally we have 1 or 2 PCOs on regular hours, one later. Or it's an overtime scenario, or we need an additional person just to do it. So, I mean, outside of what we have now, offering additional enforcement on those that would have to pay for that.
Yeah, so what's the times 48? $4,000, yeah.
So back to the bigger picture on this update.
Yeah, sorry.
Like the Benton Avenue south of the city county building. 3 out of the 13 permits have been sold, so that one would be, we would go through the process of, recommending to terminate that district. Same with Logan,
And have they been noticed?
No.
Okay, but
Because-
we have to notice them and then they.
that's what, we were waiting for this meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Logan. Sign's been taken down at some point, so it's not even a district anymore, it just never got taken off the.
This is the backside of the cathedral.
This is against the Guardian Apartments.
Yes. Logan. Oh, in front of the Guardian.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. No, street, not you.
Um,
So it is not a district, or it is technically a district.
it's still
unsigned.
technically a district.
It's unsigned and there's no permits.
Yeah.
Okay, but Guardian Apartments has a parking lot too, isn't it? Yeah.
And they have,
And then Clark Street. It just never came off the list. It was basically kind of dissolved. We haven't sold any permits over a long time. Broadway, it's a small little 200 block of Broadway. There's 4 houses, I think, on that, and only one of the 4 have on permit.
Like in front of the city county, or the courthouse?
Just west of there.
Okay.
Hauser. This is the north side of the 100 block between Park and Getchell. So this is one of those ones that there's no active permits, but it's in that area over by Joan that we were just gonna say, we can leave this one as an A district if that's, everyone's wishes, or we can just combine it and have residential. That would probably be more of invite them to the next meeting to have a discussion.
You committee members. Do you feel like there is community awareness of residential I mean, we did that survey. I'm wondering about doing these recommendations versus making a bolder recommendation that we get rid of residential or we steeply increase the cost. But maybe I'm reading it
Just
wrong.
across the board.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to relook at the survey, but
So practically,
I have this.
that would be a city resolution.
I think that there are going to be some projects that are gonna impact residential areas, either in the short term or for a longer term, that there's gonna have to be some consideration done. And if we don't have, say, the residential districts, then that would be something that we would have to have staff during the development review process note says, hey, you're gonna be, impacting, how are you going to solve this impact?
What does the forward Helena plan say about residential parking? Does it have any comments on that?
I haven't seen any
Using all taglines.
Well, no, I mean, I was just looking at it yesterday. It's supposedly our plan for how we're gonna grow Helena.
I don't know, I don't even know if it was talked about.
I kind of think we could go through that whole process of doing away with it. Because it doesn't seem to be feasible really. In any way.
Other than it's.
And I think it would start all over again because these areas that have an impact will come in and say,
Sure.
what are you gonna do about my parking in front of my house? And then I think we'd start all over again.
Well, yeah, I mean, what is that? The concept of.
But maybe we could
parking
start
in front
over
of
in
my
a
house
good-
Is,
Yeah,
But I think the sidewalks that the
shooting.
commission put up on the 2014 were good, because it had to be a new impact. You can't just be complaining that you moved to your house and parking sucks, and just because that's the way parking was always been. I think the sideboards, they were pretty well thought out, so that I think at the time, 2014, the commission thought that residential districts would only be a need for new impacts, like new construction, new high school being built, new grade school being built. That might be a short-term thing, or it might be a long-term thing.
I did have a question, Christopher speaking, with example of the high school, and you mentioned the neighborhoods being impacted. And if they did apply for residential parking district, would they have to pay for those themselves? Okay,
they have to get the district approved and then pay the $30 annual permit to park on the
So-
street.
I'm not a residential, but I feel like that would be undue burden on me if I put this neighborhood, so I have to pay for a permit because my neighbor next door is having a construction project. That's just me expressing my opinion, but
Yeah.
I don't feel it's fair. I feel like maybe the district should pay for my parking permit, but I don't live there. That's just my perspective.
interesting.
Well, I just wanna clarify, to get a new residential district, it gets defined, and then a majority of the property owners have to agree to have a district. So one property owner can't say, I wanna have a residential
Right.
district here. But yeah, once that happens, then yeah, you would have to pay a permit to park on
Yeah,
this.
permit and the sign costs,
Sign costs. Well, no, who pays the sign costs?
the residents.
Oh, so it's a one-time cost, but they. Okay, well, what do you want from us today, David? Do you want a recommendation on these 4 out of compliant districts? Or do you wanna just keep talking about them? No, give up.
So just. So this one down here, there's one other one down here that I forgot to
So 5,
talk about. Where did it go? It is.
actually, I'm gonna retract my flippant statement and say. We've had public comment, we've talked about it, we probably should do the effort to ask these 5 districts to get in compliance or be dissolved. Since we've started this process.
So there's one other district, I don't see it on there, it's North Park Street.
Okay.
Which is next to that field. This one. Next to the field by Carroll, where they bought all those houses. and
Which are
then-
gone.
Which are gone.
Yeah.
This just never got dissolved.
Okay.
So that's another one, that's an easy one to, that and Logan are pretty easy districts just to.
Those need to be dissolved. And then 3 need to be asked if they
Yeah.
wanna stay compliant. Okay. Community. Do you want to? Do you need us to vote on this, or do you just need general feedback?
General direction. Consensus.
So
This
those,
is directions. Set. What is your opinion?
My opinion is, find people that are out of compliance and start the process and will dissolve and be out of compliance.
Any of the out of compliant districts.
Yes.
Okay, that's Christopher, what's your preference?
Agree.
John? Yeah, I think the same, since we've been talking about this for almost
And
a
then
year.
amending the
We should-
districts will come back later.
Yeah, we should do the compliance and the dissolution. Termination. And then I think it's standing agenda item, what to do with your districts. Okay. Residential districts complete.
so can I just, for clarification, ask is my district in this thing we're talking about now?
No.
You're compliant.
We're com-
Okay. And for reference, those non-compliant districts will be noticed, and then if they all buy permits, then they be active and compliant again.
Affirm.
Okay. And that was 3 or 4 districts.
We just said non.
Communication strategy for parking. David, what is your strategy to communicate with all the public on parking?
I think it's gonna be a bigger question or a bigger topic to sit down and discuss. You know, my goal is to try to change the perception of parking. I'm not under any guise that I'm gonna win everybody over to say hoorah, we all want parking, but I think there's some education components that could help at least educate and let people know, because, you know, we hear in public comment, we didn't know that there was these 4-hour districts, even though that they've been created for years. You know, things along that nature that try to do an outreach campaign and then
in conjunction with this committee. But
Well,
we
with that,
haven't
can
really-
you have like a public meeting where it's not a public meeting where we don't have to like,
So if a quorum of you are there, it has to be noticed.
okay, but what if it's like a list, like, so that we don't have to have an agenda and like,
Still has to be noticed.
but it can be a listening session? And can.
It's just
be-
like, when the commissioners show up to Alive 5.
Yeah.
There may be a quorum at Alive 5, but no actions will be taken. Oh, it just has to be noticed so that,
But we wouldn't be able to discuss.
well, that's what the listening session.
Brainstorm.
You could have a work session. And a big,
Like for a work session.
in the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have topics. And you go through and take public comments or have discussions and just do it from there. We have work sessions with the commission. It'd be similar to like when we have our budget meeting work sessions for the public. It's publicly noticed, the public's invited. You can come, you can talk, you can give public comment.
But does it have to be concentrated public comment times?
No, you can just have.
We can just be dialogue.
You can have an agenda, we're gonna talk about residential parking districts, we're gonna talk about fees, we're gonna talk about this. And as you go through each agenda item, then you can take public comment, or you can put, just like public meetings, you could have a board up there so people could write down their.
Yeah,
their
okay.
comments.
Well, maybe that's worth reaching out to BID and Chamber to see if they want to be involved. I think they need to be involved, and I think that's a stumbling block that we've had, is that they are the default communicators and not the public private tension there is hard. Or word it better.
Well, and that's so part of the communication process was this committee itself.
Yeah,
This committee was to be that kind of,
and we're doing
This-
that,
yeah.
I mean, we're
we're
talking.
doing that on an unlimited basis.
Yeah,
And I was glad to see the public here to give comment. It's just that, how do we reach more to get it, to be able to, get it to.
yes. You're
Just go
doing
ahead.
it. Okay. All right, I will table that. Annual report recommendations. Our ongoing items, just for the record, are residential. And we made a recommendation today, just to staff, to continue to do cleanup. But we'll need to have a more formal recommendation about residential. Rates continue to be a standing item. Our recommendations from July still stand. To be presented at a date to be determined. Any other annual board items that we want to just acknowledge right now? Draft recommendation. I got one now. Improved communications. Do you have anything else?
I have nothing at the moment.
Okay, next agenda
I have a
item.
question.
Oh,
Do we
yeah.
have, I'm sorry. Do we have, I can't remember when our recommendation, I'm sorry, but, do we have anything about continue to pursue other grants?
Oh,
Now
that's
that's that part.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
it's,
back
we're
to
talking about
CIP
rates, but
and-
it is something we're talking about is alternative revenue streams for parking. Okay. Thank you. That's a good one to add. These are just draft formulas. Keep talking about. Okay, next agenda item. What do we want to talk about in October? I want to talk about, I don't want to talk about it today. I want to be thoughtful about a survey, so let's make that an agenda item. New parking survey. And then, we wanna look at the map again. Hopefully have that finalized.
Do we wanna prepare for a future commission meeting or?
Well, we're not on the schedule yet, so. I don't wanna get ahead of ourselves, so maybe it's just the agenda item is. Our presentation,
I mean,
I don't know
think we
how to
should
word that, but
talk
Sure.
about how to.
yeah, annual report. Maybe that is a. an agenda item, well, I mean, it is, okay. Do we wanna tackle, do we wanna add any new agenda item? From. Or, you know, if I can read it back here, what it is. I know, but, you know, sometimes your stuff talks to big that. I mean, I wanna talk about the history of loans. Oh, wait. For maintenance loans, projects, contracts, parking contracts. I don't know.
I can list most of them off the top of my head.
Oh, I'm just having the 3 parking survey map and the annual report, which actually rates. That will be continually talking about rates. Okay. All right, any public comment before we close? Member of the public, Abigail!
Hi.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Few public comments, keep it under 3 minutes, is the map, just, I heard no one mention the QR code, but I assume that the QR code is still going to be on there, but just okay. And then as for the next committee meeting, what I would like to personally see on the agenda is exactly how much is budgeted towards marketing expenses, as on like maintain parking maps and community outreach and videos and whatnot. Even if the number is 0, I just would like to hear that the number is 0, mainly because I know my marketing budget and promotion budget for the BID, and it is very slim. And I know the BID would like to help get the message out there. However, what it feels like to me right now is that we're the only, if not main, source of marketing this information out there. I was under the impression that it was like you guys had money and then I also had money and we could pull that money to get the message out there. But if we are the only financial source of that, I would like to know before I pledge like that I'm going to help, only because I have other projects in the work and I'm trying to make a shop local ad under $2,000, which is really hard. So I just would like to be knowledgeable about that. Another thing is for the maps. I think a title, this is amazing. Like if this was like a packet that can be, I can just drop off like this to the actual map, and we can make a packet, and then I can donate my time to volunteer my time to drop off to each business. But on the map, it'd be helpful if there was like a title on it of like the locals guide or the visitors guide, just so
Parking guide.
parking guide, yeah, but like one that differentiates this is the visitors and this is the locals, mainly because if I'm storing them at my storefront, I'm not gonna look before I grab, I'm just gonna look for the title. The other thing I wanted to point out is Carroll College recently got a new parking director. And he took a student in marketing with an iPhone and they made us several videos. It all can be found on their Facebook and Instagram. And they're very knowledgeable and they're like, they got a lot of views and they got the message out there. And I used to be a student at Carroll and was absolutely pissed off at the parking there. But if I had these videos that just went out, I think it'd be less mad because they did a really good job at laying it all out of why the money, why they're asking for what they're asking for and what the money is going to. So marketing doesn't need to be expensive in this either. But I just wanted to provide solutions, and that is a good marketing series that could be beneficial. So that's my thought.
Thank you for your comment. All right, committee members, anything else? Do I hear a motion? No.
Huh?
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Oh, Christopher motions to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned at 6:05 p.m.
I want everybody to hear this.